Very special. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the morning briefing here on NoFilter.net. I'm Jeff DeForest. That is a very excited Mike Lubitz, who is trying to decide what is more frightening, the Republican National Convention or the SEC media days. In terms of just leaving you bewildered, thinking, my God, how ponderous is this? Unbelievable. All right, good to be with you guys. I've come up with a new foolproof method for gambling. And this is after careful investigation. I believe I have a surefire way to produce winners day after day, night after night, week after week, month after month, and year after year. And if you want to get in on this, BetOnline would be the place to go. BetOnline, your number one source for all your sports betting needs. And there's a lot of stuff going on, even when it's like Black Wednesday. It's incredible. This season, you can bet baseball, golf, soccer, the top fights from the UFC, MMA, and boxing. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. That's all available to you. When the game's over, head on to their online casino, which is fantastic. With poker, blackjack, you can play over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use the promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Not bad, Louis. Bet online. The game starts here. All right, I almost got sucked in last night, Lubie, as I was reading various handicapping material, and I nearly got sucked into laying 4.5 points with the Indiana Fever. I mean, try and get your grip on the magnitude of the outrageous lameness of what I was about to endeavor into. 4.5 points they were laying against the Wings, the Dallas Wings, who suck. And the logic was there. And my betting theory now is when you have the most significant amount of scientific analysis and mind-boggling mathematical permutations that are being applied to a betting circumstance, stuff that not even Matt Damon as Will Hunting would understand. I mean, Rene Descartes would be rolling over in his grave thinking about some of the math principles that are applied to betting these days. The Wings, horrible at defending the three-point shot, Lubie. Horrible at executing the three-point shot. Horrible of late in almost all of their games, with a giant losing trend that they're undergoing. And the Indiana Fever, the darlings of all media, of all sports right now, with Caitlin Clark, who, if you said before the game, hey, she's going to have like a mind-boggling game, 24 points, 19 assists, a WNBA record, you would think this was money in the bank, would you not, Libby? So what happens? They lose outright. The day before, you had that guy with the soil and the wind variance, and he was analyzing the construction material that was used in the roof at the Arlington Stadium where the All-Star game was being played, and somehow he deduced from all of this data, as if he was experiencing a moment of his own artificial intelligence, he told you to bet the under on this game, which of course went over. So whenever the statistical, I was never a trend guy. You know this, Lubie. I don't know if I believe in this. Well, you know what? This team is 0-2 coming off the bye week after they lost a game on the road through the first 2 weeks of the season when they're 500 or less and there's a blue moon. All of this bullshit. You realize that there is no logic to it, right? Every result is somewhat arbitrary. That's why long shots come in. I thought I had figured this out years ago. I've told you this story many times. I spent my entire junior year at Syracuse University trying to decode what I thought was an obvious fix that was in at Vernon Downs, a D-grade harness track that was outside of Syracuse that you had to risk your life to get to. You'd be better off trying to catch crab on Deadliest Catch than trying to venture your way through the snow and the rolling hills to get to this horseshit horse track. And we thought we decoded the fix, and only to find out later after cashing tickets that we were nowhere even close. And our theories had no foundation in logic whatsoever. And I think that's what we're seeing, Lubie, in terms of betting trends. I don't know. Are you following any of this stuff? Because every day I read something, it sounds spectacular. It's so convincing that you're saying there's no way that this guy could be wrong. This cat has to be absolutely on the money. And then you look at the results the next day, and it's a loser after loser. So I think this is something that you need to follow. All right, it's underway. I don't know about you, Louie, but I wake up almost routinely every morning, somewhere around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and go, fuck, I'm late for work. Because we've been doing early morning, we were doing morning drive radio for many, many years here on the East Coast, and I was involved in it probably 30 or 35 of the 40 some odd years that I was on the air doing radio in the morning. And it sucks that there's no two ways around it. Is there, Lubie? I mean, even now, getting up a little bit later, you're still like, oh, bleh. But do you find yourself popping your eyes open in the middle of the night almost as a matter of routine, or do you just sleep solidly? You're a younger man, so it's less likely that you have to get up and pee 17 times during the night. Not that I should be concerned. But do you find yourself doing that? Because I love it when it happens on a day like this, where when you wake up, you go, wait a minute. It's the opening round of the now known as just simply the Open.
Yep.
I love this shit because there's nothing that makes you feel better about your own life than these sorry, miserable conditions that all these people in England live under. It's a sunny day, and it's still raining with 50-mile-an-hour winds. Everything is going haywire. There are, pieces of debris blowing over the golf course. And then these guys are playing this goofy Rube Goldberg designed golf course. Remember that guy? He was the guy that you would hit a little ball and then it would roll and would trigger a train going around the tracks, that kind of thing. And dominoes would go over, and it eventually led to something happening at a conclusion, and you're just absolutely bewildered by it, as if you were watching a David Copperfield act. But the course is kind of ridiculous, and these nondescript European schminks are always the ones that are on the leaderboard on opening day, like guys that you never heard of. If you looked at the list of the guys on the leaderboard right now, you would be hard-pressed to recognize 2 of the 10 names that are in the top 10 right now. And guys come out of the woodwork from the distant past. Is this like just a prelude to the senior tour, the British Open, Lubie? Guys are like 100 years old. I think Ben Hogan is 200 at this thing. But the conditions are bizarre. Who could ever live over there? I mean, the people all look pasty. The conditions are bizarre already. Raining and cloudy and all kinds of weird stuff is going on. And I love it. I mean, you wake up 4 a.m. and there it is. They're in the middle of the first round. It's absolutely fantastic. And then I don't know why. I find myself, I was not one of those Americans that was caught up in the fever that was created when Bryson DeChambeau won this year's U.S. Open. I still think he's, a blood-sucking, money-grabbing scab that went to the Live Tour. I don't know. Do you harbor resent? There's no reason to resent these guys. They're just doing business. But the Saudi blood money, it's still, I don't know. There's something dirty about it, in my opinion, although all sports are going in that direction, right? When is Adam Silver going to announce they're expanding to Riyadh? Well, we really think the Saudis have a lot to offer. Yeah, they do. They got fucking cash. That's what they got. But, the tournament is underway. They're in the middle of the first round. And so far, I mean, as I said, very hard to identify any of the leaders, and there was a lot of logic. Don't you love these lists that guys give you? Well, what kind of handicapping is this, Lubie? Where a guy says, here are the most likely guys, the 9 most likely guys to win the Open. And then you look, and it's like Scotty Scheffler, DeChambeau, Ram. What happened to him, by the way? He sold out his karma, striking back at John Rahm, who was one of the big advocates for keeping the PGA Tour together, and then all of a sudden they offered him $300 million just to drop his pants one time, and boom, he put it right up the Hershey Highway. And next thing you know, he's finished, though. He seems to have lost his mojo. He has really not produced any kind of great results on the Live Tour, and seems to be a distant afterthought when it comes to these major championships where the Live Tour and the PGA meet, and you would imagine it's all completely cordial. Imagine looking at a guy that you're 10 times better than, and he's making like $300 million. That happened to you at work all the time when we were working in radio. It was absolutely ridiculous. Major League Baseball coming to the second. It's past the. What happened to All-Star game timing, Lubie, in all sports? The NBA, they had already played like 75 games before they got to the All-Star break, and they only play 82. Same thing, NHL. And Major League Baseball is already, closer to 2/3 through the season than they are halfway. They've played like 100 games already, Major League Baseball teams. But we know this, that there will be a lot of fire sales going on. Anybody on the rosters of the A's, the White Sox, and especially our Florida Marlins, formerly Florida Marlins, now Miami Marlins, pretty much up for sale, man. They all have a price tag on them. It's like a claiming race at Saratoga. It's incredible. And we'll see what transpires, because there should be some scrambling for a few good players that I actually might make a difference in the race to the postseason. And it's unfortunate that the also-rans well, I guess it's good for us right, Lubie? That the mathematical impossibility of the Marlins covering the over for the season total this year.
Yeah, it's great.
There you go. We didn't use any, insane logic. There were no mathematical formulas applied. It wasn't like we based this on Pythagorean theorem. One guy who loves the Marlins said, "We're going to suck this year," and that was good enough for us.
He's right.
So yeah, don't let this logic dictate. I mean, the more scientific the theory and all of the different reasons why you should bet one way or another, regardless of whether it's a prop bet or a game, the more deeply scientific and mathematical, profoundly mathematical they get, the further off they tend to be. So we have noticed this as an ongoing trend. So read all that you can, and when they get really, really deeply into it, using terminology that even though you've been a sports fan your entire life, like 40, 50, 60 years, you've never heard these terms before. Make sure that you go ahead and ignore all of that and go straight to the hot babe who looks like she was created by artificial intelligence. And as we said, looks nothing like anybody you've ever seen in any sports book in your lifetime. And go ahead and just follow their advice. You'd be far better off. All right, Lubie, you have a great day. Our guy Oberg was hanging in there for a little while, but I think he's like hanging by a wall at 16 right now. I'm not sure what happened to him. He sort of disappeared from the leaderboard after getting off to a little bit of a decent start. I think he birdied the first hole, and you can get into dire straits and go from being right atop the leaderboard to being buried in a short period of time. There, that's the one thing. It's subtle, the treachery of the Royal Troon Golf Course, and especially when you get in those sand traps. They really do, Lubie. The more I see them, the more they look like they were bombarded bunkers that were left over from World War II, don't they? Did they do any groundskeeping on those courses, or they just left them as shambles? It's like, are those German planes? I mean, what the hell happened? The bunkers are impossible to hit out of. You actually have to sometimes hit the ball backwards so you can get back in the fairway and hit it again. So we'll see what happens there, but it'll be a lot of fun to follow, and it's early in the morning, so when I wake up tomorrow at 4, there it'll be on TV. All right, we got to run. Thanks so much for being with us. For Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest, and we'll see you tomorrow right here on NoFilter.net with the next edition of the Morning Briefing.